Hello everybody and welcome to tonight's coverage of the Full Length Cup Challenge. This evening we're excited to be bringing you the first race of a brand new season, the FLCC 500 from iRacing's virtual Daytona International Speedway. Maconi Entertainment is here to bring you action from all types of racing, including this series, the Dirt Sprint Car Championship Series, and Fast Fridays. No matter what you're racing, we can bring the action to life. My name's Justin Prince. Alongside me for tonight is Marty Sikawa. Howie Burrows is our producer for the start of the campaign. Today, we start things off with the big one, the crown jewel of them all, 500 miles, 200 laps at a very fast super speedway, Marty. They worked all week and long just about a week ago to be able to try to advance to this race. And now these competitors will look to start 2026 off strong.
Well, Justin, this is the race everyone wants to win. You start your season off with a bang. You've got all the momentum in your hands. You get excited for what you expect for the rest of the season. If you win at Daytona in a 500-mile race, a 200-lap endurance challenge, it's something special to say that you won that. You'll be staying up late tonight if you take it.
And these drivers currently are in the midst of their final warm-ups before they take the grid in about 90 seconds. Remember, when it came to the duels, it was competitive to say the very least, especially with the battles. The drivers who won the duels, those went to Alex Coffey for duel 1. Matthew David Wood won duel number 2. It is worth noting, though, that 3 different drivers did back out of this race after the duels. That included Edward Scherer Jr., Adam Benefiel, and the late one, Robert Miller, who had his wheel break, Marty.
Yeah, technology can sometimes be a pain. Just you and I saw that earlier this week in some other broadcasts that we were working. But you want to make sure everything is up. You want to make sure that everything is up to gear, especially in a place like Daytona where you're in the packs for a long time, and if your gear is not working, it could lead to a big one.
Yes, indeed. And for these drivers, you obviously want to start off the season with a win. And remember, there is a championship within the championship for all those super speedway races here too. The King of the Super Speedway Series was uber competitive to stay consistent at amongst Daytona, Echo Park, and Talladega. As these drivers get themselves all set to go for tonight, it should be interesting. Who is going to get the edge in the very end of the FLCC 500? Remember, 3 stages on the books, and some of the drivers and teams will look to carry momentum from the iRacing Daytona 500 or from the FLCC from last night for Friday Night Lights. But the lights are bright here tonight, and it's daytime for the track itself. We're ready to find out how they start for this year's running of the FLCC 500. The World Center of Racing expected to be busy. We have a full 40-car grid to start off 2026. And remember, it was a surprise pair of drivers that set the front row for the qualifying session last week before the dual races. Both of them did look competitive during the Haterade 150s. It's Bobby Anderson that starts on the pole tonight. He'll start alongside Jason S. Taylor, who continues the growth of Black Flag Motorsports this season. Alex Coffey will start in the 3rd spot tonight. Matthew David Wood will start next to him. 2 drivers to keep an eye on, to say the very least. Casey Graves, one of the other rookies in the field tonight, will start alongside the very formidable Johnny Avila. Then you switch over to row number 4. That's where Jeremy B. Brown will set up tonight. Sean Conklin will start in the 8th spot for the Ryko camp. And Tour will start off in the 9th spot this evening in a Conti-powered engine with Lucas Hoitzma in the 10th spot, Marty.
The 6th row has Nicholas Roman in the 95, Michael Tucker, a pair of Chevrolets. Behind them on row number 7, Ralph Hutcherson in the 19, and Ryan Von Henschel in the 34. Dylan Basin in the 84, next to Rich Kleiman in the 7. That is row number 8. And then Matt DiCiani, one of the favorites for this race, possibly. Should expect him near the front of the 4, next to Alex Murray in the 22. Rounding out the top 20, Cameron Stone in the 57, and Kevin Zolciak in the 37.
As we scroll through the rest of these drivers here, a lot of competitors will have to make up ground. Of note, Timothy Harper, who competed in the PGR 500. Nolan Hodgson was competitive. You also have Super Speedway ace Cody B. Johnson that made the field. Also, a couple of the alternates will start on the tail. In particular, Sean Anderson was the final alternate to make the field and will start dead last for this event at Daytona. But as we finish up looking at your starting grid tonight, let's talk about the big details for the race itself. Remember, 3 stages. The stages are 65, 130, then to the end here. And as well, a 17x incident limit. It's a lot less stricter compared to the duels where a lot of people hit the incident limit, but you still want to keep it clean here tonight.
Keys to victory for me this evening. You know, winning at Daytona, it's not just about speed, drafting mastery, smart pit timing, avoiding wrecks, positioning late in the race, and taking advantage of those restarts and cautions. The driver and team who best balance patience with aggression and survive 500 miles hazard-free, they typically end up in victory lane.
One driver will have to serve a drive-through to start things off. It was announced just prior to the race. Nicholas Vroman will have to come down pit road to start. We're happy with this here on Maconi Entertainment for the start of a new season. Let's boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing from Daytona. They work down the back straightaway for the first time, and as you see, both lines pretty even to start this year's run of the FLCC 500. But look at this. Some of the teammates working together. That is the slow camp working on the outside to be able to get Wood to the point. New race leader, Matthew David Wood, and he is up front as there goes Vroman to serve the penalty.
Good awareness by all the drivers around, but yeah, if you got teammates up near the front working with you, that could be really key, especially at the end of a race. Here's a run from Hoytsma underneath to try and grab third from Conklin, but it's a Chevy leading the pack in Wood, but 3 Toyotas further back.
We'll see a lot of drivers try and get that outside line working, and some of the races we've seen in the money scene, for example, took a fair amount of momentum and a lot of cars to get that middle to top to be able to get moving. Remember, some of these drivers also trying to work with the level of experience here between each other at the bump traps. In particular, Marty, with a lot of these drivers with this package since the updates, it's a lot less stable on the pushes.
I gotta be very careful about the bump traps. I always say you want to make sure you have it lined up perfectly. If you're looking out there in iRacing, you want to make sure that the center of your screen is basically the driver's seat of the car in front of you. You can follow that with a little nudge, and it can definitely work. But slam drafting absolutely won't work. You see the top 3, they're basically bumper to bumper to bumper there in a turn number 3. But a lot of patience early in this one by a lot of the drivers in the field, and that's very key in a race that's 200 laps, 500 miles. You really want to have that early in the race, or early in a stage as well, to say the least.
So right now, Team Slow controls things, for those, again, who missed. That is actually short little occasional winners. They are missing a couple of the drivers that we were expecting here tonight from them, from the charter side. But the 2 that didn't make it here tonight, starting off with a strong bit of momentum, as right now, Michael S. Tucker trying to find a way to get the outside to keep going. Did confirm that the penalty was for a violation last week. Roman ended up having a pit lane violation. That's why the penalty got served today.
We start to get early here into the way of things with all this patience like I talked about. it kind of makes you wonder now, and we're going to see a lot of this happen tomorrow in the real-life Daytona 500, is the race leader, Matthew Wood, and everyone else in this pack, are they running at full throttle or not? Trying to conserve fuel, trying to make sure they use less of it so they can stretch this first stage, so they can wait until maybe later on in the stage to pit. That way they can go scot-free to the finish line. Just have to see if that is the strategy amongst some of these drivers, especially whoever's leading the race, because they're going to be full throttle.
Remember the fuel runs here tonight for those who missed last week. About 40 laps is the expected run, give or take a few laps. No, in real life, some of the drivers were able to stretch it up to 50 with some of the massive fuel saved during the real-world dual races. But today, it's pretty clear that a lot of these drivers will want to carry a lot of speed. They're running near 200 miles an hour in the pack tonight. And you see Jason S. Taylor just working to keep the momentum high with the top three in front of him to be able to keep the pace up to the 45-second bracket.
And you notice as well here too, Justin, you've got the front six. They're all single file. First side-by-side races for 7th between Conklin and Brown. Like I mentioned, you want to play it safe than sorry. Go the shorter way around the racetrack. Being up high can risk a lot of things from time to time, especially this early in a race. So wouldn't surprise me if we start to see a long train develop here in just a little bit as we continue to see Conklin fading down to 9th. He cuts down low there.
Had to come down at that point. The outside was just not working. There it is for Tucker. That was a little bit closer of a call on that blend, though, in front of Hutchinson. But the outside, it's just not working. As I think Van Henschel just about turned himself, getting down to everybody, is now abandoning the top here. By the way, for those wondering where Vroom Vroom went, well, he found a friend. Dustin Hall started from pit road tonight. And immediately, these two have found each other downside. They're 35 seconds behind the pack. That's not even lap 10.
Yeah, obviously we know with Roman having the penalty, not too sure what happened with Dustin Hall to get things started. I don't know if he followed Roman on the pit road at the same time so they can work together and keep some sort of a draft. But they're going to be very slow on speed here. And with the way this is going, I wouldn't be surprised. Maybe, we got Conklin, I think, with some internet issues possibly. Just saw him blinking in and out, and I don't see him. Now he's back on track in 12th. He just was aware of his internet issues. He's below the yellow line and merges up, and that's really key. When you're in the pack like this, you don't want to be having internet issues the night of a huge race.
Absolutely, and already he loses his help here. Keep in mind, Conklin's got Hodgson and Basin as teammates here tonight if need be, and that actually has broken up the two packs here. Just like that, one of the fan favorites, Cameron Stone, is now going to try and fill that gap. Not going to be too big of a gap to have to fill, though. This should close up pretty quickly.
Yeah, the draft here with these next gens can get interesting from time to time. You just don't know what it's like in dirty air. You know, I mean, like when I've driven like the next gen in the past, if I'm that far out, I'm typically going to be losing the draft in the past. But if you have like a whole pack of cars behind you, that can help you out too at the same time. And so those two trains have merged back into one altogether.
Yeah, and as these drivers continue to circulate, there is an important thing that's important in terms of if we do get incidents tonight here, Marty. They did tell drivers in the drivers' meeting that cautions will be a little bit stricter this season. We do have live race control on Bryson Hicksonbaugh, and Hicksonbaugh did confirm to competitors that if there's a single car spin or anything involving that, it has to be on the racing surface tonight. If there is anything like that that goes below that yellow line tonight, it will not be a caution flag. You have to have it on the surface.
Yeah, so basically a lot similar to an out-of-bounds rule here in NASCAR, just this time with the caution flags. They'll let them race if like there's a wreck in like the skid pad on their super stretch or coming onto pit road, and just makes you wonder what happens if there's going to be a wreck through the tri-oval potentially. But as long as it's not on track, we'll be fine.
That outside groove, you know how far Graves has dropped back? How about all the way to the back? You just seen him pull back Kleinman and Zodiac. Everybody else is doing what you normally would see in real life, but instead of the top, it's on the bottom. Most of the field. Oh, hold on. One driver got pushed out of the way. Neil Pearson.
Yeah, Pearson, not too sure what happened in the number 62. I don't know if it may have been a bad bump draft gone wrong or not. No, I'm just watching on my end. Watch this. His car just completely veered to the left in some sort of odd way. But regardless of this, watch the save by the 62.
Yeah, he is going to pit road. Something weird going on with the 62.
Yeah, something to miss with Pearson. I think it may be also internet issues at the same time because Neil is blinking. It doesn't look too good. That's the onboard here with Neil. Very strange. Like, that's not a technical issue because his wheel just stayed straight.
He just rolled down pit road. That's it. He didn't stop.
Just making sure. I think he was just making sure his equipment was okay. We said to make sure what happened to him, but regardless of that, still green. Like you just mentioned a couple laps ago, Justin. Didn't happen on the racetrack, so no harm, no foul.
So everybody else still on the choo-choo train. I'm almost curious on the thought process here, Marty. When you do a choo-choo train effect, do you prefer to be on the bottom like it is with iRacing, or do you want to be one of those drivers that tries to get up top? Because some series and some teams will do the top choo-choo train. But tonight in FLCC, they are just electing to stay to the yellow line, take the short distance, save fuel.
You know, running on the top when you're in that choo-choo train, to me, it never makes sense. I never understand why. Even as a kid, I don't understand it now that I'm 20 years older than I was thinking about it the first time. The bottom's the best place to be when you're in this Amtrak train because it's helping you out with miles per gallon. You're saving fuel. You're not going the longer way around the track where you're using up your fuel just about maybe a tenth of a gallon or using up maybe a half second longer. You want to be hugging that double yellow line at all times in a long race like this. Now here's something that's going to help out the 16 of Matthew Wood. He's got some traffic he's approaching. That's Roman and Hall. Remember, Roman had to serve that penalty. It's going to help him out with the draft as well. Maybe conserve a little bit of fuel here on this situation, but I think they're going to let the leaders go around in the middle groove.
Yeah, they're going to have the pack swallow them, it looks like. Wood and Avila, along with Hoytsma, all driving around the high groove. There's actually a small difference in speeds now between the packs. Very minimal. They also will pick up Pearson in a second to add to that slalom course. Wow, they're not clearing at all, actually. They're having a hard time passing.
Yeah, this is going to mess up as well some of the drivers that are in the mid-pack. Like, there's a huge gap between Blake Cluatry and Michael Tucker, 8th and 9th respectively. But now they're all starting to wad back up together. And yeah, around the high side can be very tough to do at times here in Daytona. And now look at this. We may start to see some double file action. Look at Alex Coffey on the top with some help from Jeremy Brown. Look at this run he's going to get.
Yeah, boxed in now with Anderson. Top two clear. Big time. As now the outside is thriving. It's 3 wide, in fact, for a moment. Hutchinson and Murray thought about working together. They all line back in a toe into the middle groove. So the lappers force everybody out of the single file choo-choo train effect. Now the question is, will that eventually slip back to the single file? Or will it stay fierce? It stays fierce for Taylor inside, nearly turned around the 16.
Taylor was trying to make that run for the race lead and just about got blocked by the 16. How ironic is that? Battling for the race lead. I don't know if Taylor wants to be leading this race or not, but we're not too pleased about that block at the same time, you know. Something I was going to mention here too, Justin, the man that's probably not going to be too pleased, the 97 of Hoytsma. He's got a lap car right in front of him, and that's tight once again, as Taylor was trying to look at the outside of Wood. But yeah, Hoytsma just got boxed in there, and now he's dealing with the lap car in front when he could be racing for a top 5 spot.
They're getting very, very aggressive here early on. Avila now takes the opportunity on the top. Coffey blends down with him. So Alex Coffey moves down to second on the bottom. Look who's moved up as well, though. One of the drivers from the mid-pack, just about. Jeremy Brown should say start top 10, but it feels like a mid-pack charge. He's brought Laturi in with him, Von Henschel and several others in this choo-choo train. Your biggest mover on that topic, by the way, last year's winner, Patrick Gitter, is a plus 16 in the heart of this.
Yeah, some other bigger movers here. Devin Medeiros up 19 to 13th. Gitter actually up 20 if I'm looking at this correctly. Jonathan Delaney up 18 to 20th. O'Brien up 17 to 22nd. Anderson up 13 into 29th at one point. I think I did somebody blink at first at one point. It may have been the 14.
Yeah, it was the 07 actually, and that's forced the 14 off of him in. All the momentum sends the 14 to the back on the high groove.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you push, when you're having someone blink in front. Is either you phase through them or you wreck them.
Yeah, that's typically like sucker holes in the middle, but right now it's up next to the safer barrier at the moment. No one's going to want to go up there with Blake, and he is plummeting down the leaderboard all the way outside the top 25. That's how bad the draft can kick you out at Daytona. You lose like a bunch of ground, a bunch of speed in seconds. It's like you're dropping an anvil down the Grand Canyon.
Now, talking about some of the different situations here, how about statistically? One of the things that was a project put together by Sean O'Brien Jr. was quite simple. He basically looked at all statistics from the history of the series, not just to the FLCC, but 100% Cup Series. That was a predecessor to the series, to Galaxy, which was another predecessor, and combined all those histories into a comprehensive data sheet to be able to break things down. The funny thing that turned up from his check, if you go to the 65, you know who's the driver who has not won a race with the longest amount of appearances? Sean O'Brien Jr. has made 128 starts, yet to get a win. And he's right now wants those in a scatter plot because some of the drivers just went up to the third line trying to dodge.
Yeah, this high side just got extremely stacked up. They were basically jockeying. It was basically bumper cars going down the super stretch. Alex Murray was the first to get sideways and keep it up next to the safer barrier. Yeah, it was just basically one of those accordion effects we typically see at Daytona from time to time. And they kicked a lot of drivers out. Jason Taylor, one of the 60. You know, I was watching Taylor for the last 2 or 3 laps or so. He looked like he was really going for the lead, and that is risky further back. Don't know if you want to be passing below the double yellow line there if you're Cody Johnson.
You might argue he was forced down there. O'Brien cut nearly across his nose. No penalty coming through as Jason as Taylor drops as well on the top. A lot of chaos breaking out all of a sudden. And it should get interesting. Keep in mind, Cody Johnson, if you remember to the past couple of years, when Maconi Entertainment had coverage of C-Fixed SOF coverage, Johnson was one of your contenders in those races, whether with this account or the one that was Johnson with a Z or a Z. Keep an eye on the 08 for later on today, as up front, Avila getting the help from Coffee still.
Yeah, so we're on lap number 22 here. Remember we talked about the pit window earlier on, about a 40-lap stint. Now it brings up the $64,000 question here, Justin. Do you pit early and go scot-free to the end, or do you wait till lap number 40 to pit and just top off on less fuel to see if you can just stay in the draft and maybe get your way out to the point? We'll just have to see. But right now, this is basically... it's kind of like curling. It's a game of chess, basically, at the moment.
They're running 46.5s at the moment for reference. They're a second off their fastest times for some of the competitors in the field. I think that type of question depends how many drafting partners you get in the pack, because once you get around more than 5 or 6, it feels like here, you start potentially risking energy dispersal and losing time. So there is almost a threshold where some of the drivers, when you come in early, might lose ground if they don't get up to speed. Or you have the main pack be slower. It really depends on what everybody else is doing here.
Could possibly be the case. And, you know, this is where, like you mentioned, your teammates come in. If you're in the Discord chat, That's where you're discussing with your teammates. Are we looking to come in on lap 25, or are we waiting until lap 30? The most people in the chat right now are a combination of a pair of teams. You got the Black Flag Motorsports team, which it's a lot of drivers in it. Of course, you've got Elite Performance Industries, one of the juggernauts in iRacing. They're figuring things out too at the same time. Bunch of different drivers, bunch of different teams setting things up. When are we pitting? How are we going to set this up here for stage 1 so that way we can get into the top 10 by the end of lap 65?
That's a huge question mark. Absolutely is. Looks like Dustin Hall will be working on the outside. As we work our way through, we'll take a very quick step aside. We're coming up to lap 25's conclusion. You're watching Maconi Entertainment. Looking high above Daytona as the FLCC 500 continues. We're working our way early through the action, already coming up to the end of lap 28 this time through. Justin Prince, Marty Sakawa, Howie Burrows, our producer, as we have a caution coming up here. Crash! Pit stop started, and yes, indeed, Avila and company got torn at the head of the pack. What a way to come back. How about a parking lot, a yard sale, if you will.
This started off with a bump draft in turn 1, which you can't do at Daytona, and then a couple of hooks and ladders, and bang! A junkyard in turn 2.
This is the type of track you can push. That wasn't on center, though. And this was one of the talking points during the Haterade 150s. Change the bumpers and manufacturer. In this case, it was Toyota on Toyota violence.
Yeah, just a rough deal, like you mentioned too, Justin. Oh, that's a very hard hit. Bunch of drivers done in this one here. Something you were talking about as well. You see there, right there in the background, drivers are actually coming down from pit road to short pit basically, and just go scot-free to the finish. Here's a look. Hang on to this one, folks. Violent.
A tough break in that sequence. Devin Medeiros, who just got to the front right before we got back from commercials and the LRP machine. He got turned around to that too, and it's already towed the car. He and Avila getting the worst hits by far in the incident. They are the only two that picked up meatball flood. So, this caution flag should get us to the end on gas for the stage.
Yes.
But now this should flip those who just pit up to the front. That would be Hoytsma, Delaney, O'Brien, Hutchinson, Taylor, Graves, Williams, and Anderson. That would take the lead with everybody else coming down this time in theory.
They basically could not have timed out much better. They've got a four-leaf clover still in their back pocket already, and it hasn't disintegrated one bit. So yes, they should have the race lead once the pit stops happen here at the moment. And yeah, that took out a lot of good cars that had a chance to win this one. This should give to Dustin Hall the free pass in this one. He went a lap down after working with Roman earlier on, so Hall should get back on the lead lap. I would have to guess Neil Pearson would take the wave around at this point if he stays in front of the leaders. I'm not too sure on that, though. Don't quote me.
So let's find out who's going to win the race off pit road. Meanwhile, some drivers did take the 4 tires, kept it simple. Plenty of tire sets available tonight. Grand total of 6 in the pit lane. And no really big changes as everybody who just came down took tires. Wood came ahead of Heitman, Johnson, Coffey. Part of your top 4, Tower Hunter in the top 5. So at this point, drivers are still trying to work. One engine smoking out of this for those keeping track. That would once again would have been Johnny Avila's car. The others getting damage repair done. Von Henschel, DeCiani, Jeremy Brown, also getting damage done. Dylan Basin, Nicholas Isaacs, Noah Hodgson, and Sean Anderson, all getting damage repair. And obviously in this series, no fast repairs. You do not want to start in a hole with a full season championship, Marty.
No, you do not. Just doesn't.
Championship with the chase, even.
Absolutely, yeah. New to this season, obviously they follow the NASCAR rules, going back to the chase format as well. A lot more points for a win than ever in the past. Combining that focus on winning while trying to consistently run near the front. No knockout style anymore. It's all about points this season once again.
So, gonna be coming up to the restart, end of lap 31. The defending series champion Lucas Hoytsma is in control of the field here for the restart. And for Hoytsma, 8-time winner in this series, and in the history of the lineage of FLCC, 5 drivers have won championships. That's Jonathan Delaney, Cameron Stone, Adam Benefield, Lucas Hoytsma, Quentin Hoffman are all with their names in gold in the history of FLCC and its predecessors. It's an exclusive club, and Hoytsma, who's looked pretty solid at Speed Week so far, looks to try and maintain speed up at the point here now, especially with a whole new look when it comes to the team side, and now 5 of their teammates up in the top 5 for Black Flag.
So I'm looking at this as we get set for the restart, like you mentioned earlier here, Justin. Those top 8 that pitted before the yellow flag, they do assume command of the lead. Neil Pearson will not get a wave around. Dustin Hall either does not get a free pass because I believe he did pit during that stint, if not was involved in the crash. So we'll have 35 drivers on the lead lap coming back to green with 31 complete.
Yeah, you're right. Nobody got the lucky dog. So, although we pin down and hoping for another caution, or we'll battle it out to the lap 65 mark here. So as they get all set to go, Hoytsma controls things on the inside, Delaney on the outside. O'Brien and Hutchinson, Taylor and Graves, Williams and Anderson, Wood and Coffey. Of note, Derek Heitman was slicing through the pack before that, and now gets to start nearly into the top third. A couple drivers did pick up penalties for too many exiting boxes. That included Dylan Basin, Jeremy Brown, Cody B. Johnson. Time to get ready to go back racing. The green flag is out. We're backing away. Good start from the inside groove in particular as all the teammates try and sort out how they want to play this pack. The drivers on the bottom from Black Flag get things going better.
That low line drafting pretty well, obviously on a restart, but want to see how this high side looks, and they're not lined up properly the best. There's some jockeying around left and right, but here comes the run for Delaney on the outside.
Yeah, has Hutchinson all over him. Graves working with them meanwhile as well. And Graves going to try and carry this momentum as far as possible, as well as the rookie along with Anderson. In other words, if you're part of Black Flag Motorsports, you're in a great spot here. Now, funnily enough, that is a team that was one of my first organizations in the sim with. That's how long they've been around, since around 2016, 2017-ish. Had different ownership groups over the years, then had a split between themselves and one sim at one point. In other words, it amazed me when starting calling the series last season to find out that Sean O'Brien and company had kept this team going with Jason Taylor and company. And now they've built up the talent pool to one of their best team rosters in the history of the team.
Yeah, and this is a team that can be a big threat on the super speedways, because, I mean, how many am I counting right now in Discord? About a dozen in their voice chat at the moment. So, I mean, they've got the numbers game. And if they're up there in the final laps, expect them to work together and do whatever it takes to get one of those Black Flag drivers in victory lane this evening.
Yeah, and they get to control things here with 3 on the bottom and 2 on top working together.
Look at this run from Delaney meanwhile.
4. Yeah. Got one of those. Remember, they came over through the changes after the clash. And right now, the former Hutchinson team drivers getting things working pretty well. There is some 3 wide to the back of the pack, but that just dissipated also. So it looks like team domination station to try and get the first stage points of the season. Again, with there no longer being playoffs, in theory, no playoff points, but you could still use some points to help you over the course to try to make sure you get in the top 16.
Yeah, still trying to get those stage points to your advantage. Always key here. There's only 10 of them up for grabs at the end of lap number 65, and we'll have that green and white checkered flag coming out just about 30 laps from now when they cross the line.
Yes, indeed. 30 to go in the stage as they continue to cycle around here. Of note, with the penalty situation, Basin has gotten to the point where he's lost the draft. So it's not been a great day for the Renko machine because nobody around to help, and already trouble involving 2 of their teammates. 1 for technical issues, 1 for a crash. So Ken Byron-powered machines having problems today in the early going. But remember, it is 500 miles, not 5.
But yeah, it goes back to what I mentioned going into this race, and what I mentioned early on, just after the green flag. A lot of patience in this one, but the high side, I don't know if there's a lot of patience for them. Matthew Wood trying to get that number 16 back out to the front. He's got Taylor next to him for 3rd. Side draft works at times. Now look behind them here, Justin. 3rd group trying to be creative with the 58 of Conklin once again. He was up there earlier on, and it can get risky at times. He's got a drafting partner in Michael Tucker, but I don't think a lot of people want to work with the 2 right now. How about Derek Heitman, though?
Yeah, he wants the lead, maybe. He's got a 3rd line rolling, and he's brought some buddies. Conklin, he's worked with Ryko Camp before. That's a fortress machine in this series. Michael S. Tucker, Cody Johnson, along with Von Henschel, who's been very aggressive. Also up there is Vroom Vroom. That's causing the middle line to start blocking, and Wood goes up to the top.
A very risky move from Wood. Gets caught up with a Hyman. Hang on, Wood. What a save from the 16. Very risky to do that in the corner. Now look at this run from Hoymel here. Big gap between him and the 19. Does he make a move? No, bump drafts. This allows Wood to possibly get a run here down the super stretch.
That middle line's losing ground and fast with the side draft. Graves ducked out of it. Hilligan Heitman. Conklin stays on the bumper. How about a little bit of shake and bake, if you will? It's Heitman going up to the lead for the first time tonight. One of the stronger drivers of the season will look to duke it on out in the Fortis camp. And those team members this season for Fortis, that includes Isaacs, Gitter, DeCiani, and Heitman. All strong drivers, all expected to contend for wins, you would think.
Wood plummeted down because of it, now down to 17th, but still trying to get that third group working. It's risky. Like, we almost saw a big wreck happen with that 76 car. Come on, boys and girls, be patient. It's only lap number 39. There's over 160 laps to go in this one.
There's a charge back. 16. Oh no! Zodiac contact, and there goes the Greg Biffle font. Into the wall, Zodiac off of Wood, and several scattered to the grass were under caution.
And again, this was a part of that 3-wide deal. You watch the replay off of turn 4. This is just a situation where Wood was just trying to side draft off of Zodiac, and it just leads to contact.
I think both of them are going to be okay with some damage repair. Could have been a lot worse.
Absolutely.
There was a little air.
Yeah, what made it the most of it is he pancaked the safer barrier. I think there may have been a third car involved who kept it straight. Other than that, everybody's scattering through with no issues.
Second caution of the FLCC 500 for 2026. As the drivers who scattered the grass did not hit the commitment cone or anything like that. No issues for them. As this will restack the field after things were getting a little bit hectic there. So now, as they try and sort out to get behind the pace car, now it gets intriguing on how aggressive you're going to be here. Do you keep that level of intensity all the way to the end of the stage? Do you cool it back to try and preserve the car? What would you do here, Marty, over the course of this, knowing what we just seen with the 3-wide trouble?
Well, we've got 25 laps to go coming to the line. I mean, it's tough to say. If this was a 200-lap heads-up race, Justin, I'd be hanging out in the back. Heitman's going to pit here, and same with Paul Gallimore. But if I'm the top 10, I'm staying out. This points on the line can be very valuable. It could be the difference between making the chase or being eliminated after the second race in Daytona in August. A bunch more coming in here too. I mean, for the drivers in the back, it's smart to pit. You can just top off on fuel, repair any maybe light damage you had at the same time. But other than that, you would, if I'm the front of the field, just stay out.
Lucky Dog goes to the 95 this caution. So that was the all he needed here for Vroom Vroom. Had some phenomenal saves in final practice. And for those wondering about that debate, yes, he's on 900-degree steering tonight. I'm not going to get fully into that debate between 210 versus 900, but let's just say 900 is the realistic manner. And we're seeing Vroom Vroom gets himself working. Remember, last night on Race Spot and on iRacing social media platforms, the iRacing Daytona 500 top split was broadcast. He got a top 5 in it, was 4th, in fact, in the Also Up race. How much do you factor in that when you have a strong race in the officials and carry that to the league scene, or vice versa, Marty? Is that something you consider, or is that just something that says strength to straight what your setup is?
I think it could be a strength to strength with what your setup is, because because of the huge difference between the official 500 to here is the stage racing, because you've got 2 competition cautions that gives you a chance to maybe rethink your strategy in this race. Whereas you've got a full-on 200-lap race, you've already got your pit stops, your pit windows already set up, calculating things backwards possibly. I think, it just shows you, hey, you got the win at least at Daytona in the 500-mile race, gives you some sort of momentum, but I don't think it really carries too much into tonight's race.
Decent point to that factor. The driver who won it was Conklin. And we've seen his up and downs here tonight. In this one, just shows the unpredictability of the track. Other notables that are in this race tonight. Joseph Galata, we've seen a lot of him over time when it comes to Bigfoot. He finished in third in that same race, for example, among some of the drivers that got great finishes. Then there was a big smattering of drivers that won for these teams in other leagues or in officials that were a part of that SOF race. All of that's well. It's going to be Delaney up at the front of this restart. Hutchinson second with Hoytsman O'Brien, along with Anderson, the top 5 all teammates. Graves, Taylor, Conklin, Tucker, Williams, the top 10 for this restart. And again, we've seen how well it worked with the teamwork in both the lanes in the last restart. The inside line got the better start regardless. And at this point, how do you try to break up the teammates, Marty, if you have such a big contingency up at the front?
Man, it's really tough. I think if you try to break up the teammates, it's got to be a combination of being very aggressive. It's got to be a combination of blocking. Heck, you may have to do a little contact, which obviously you don't want to do at the same time, but that may be what it takes to block to split somebody up. Heck, we saw in like the Xfinity series, or I'm sorry, the O'Reilly Auto Parts series race earlier tonight. You know, Jesse Love and Austin Hill split up because Jesse Love made the pass on Austin Hill. But other than that, if you want to try and split them up, got to be some contact. Like, what's it going to take to get Austin Hill, obviously, to not dominate a race?
I don't think we have an Austin Hill situation.
No, we don't. Thank goodness.
But we do have a big team block well in command as we're back on our way. Once again, the inside gets the better jump with those 4 getting the boost. Now it gets to where the outside trying to get going. Graves and Conklin all in the bumper of O'Brien, who's all in the bumper of Hutchinson. Trying to get the power. You know who's getting the cut here? Michael S. Tucker, one of the rookies, moving up.
Yeah, Tucker starting back in the 12th position. Not bad of a race for him so far. Remember, he was one of those drivers that tested the high sign next to the safer barrier early on. It didn't work the best for him, but restarting in the 6th spot. Now he's in a situation where he could be going for stage points here with over 20 to go.
Keep in mind, Tucker is one of the drivers who run for Kevin Zosiak and Rich Kleinman's team. That is Stealth Racing. That's one of the new organizations of drivers paired up this season. And a big list of underdogs, if you will, that are looking to try and find a way to the top. Tucker's been the most impressive during speed weeks out of them so far. Zosiak has been able to put in some top 10 so far in FLCC history. Kleinman, he's been riding in the back most of the night so far. 3 different approaches from 3 teammates. And we know Zosiak was in the last caution too.
Yeah, so Zosiak still running on the racetrack, and those wondering about him, he's still keeping up with the draft, so not too bad when it came to his damage. The same goes for the 16 of Matthew Wood. They're just hanging out in the back of the pack for right now. He's trying to play it safe than sorry here at the same time, but look at this. Tucker out front. Here comes Hutchinson on the top shelf, trying to get the lead, and he's got the advantage with the straights down the back. The high side's always the place to be, but the corners, you want to be hugging the yellow lines.
Right now, Tucker is hugging that line with the help of Delaney on the bumper. Hutchinson tries to carry the momentum. They are not really side drafting too hard, mind you. You can nearly fit a full lane of cars in between. That's how big some of the gaps are. It looks like Williams does not like what he's seeing. That is one of the drivers aligned tonight with the black flag machines, backing out of it and giving up track position with 20 to go on the stage.
Either that or his car may have gotten possibly tight through turns number 3 and 4 in the draft. I'm just looking from his cockpit perspective. The car, yeah, just got a little tight on corner exit. Was stuck up top, and Now fading all the way back. Lost a couple miles an hour. Down into 35th here, Justin.
And that's going to be a triumph for the 98. But a lot of communication popping up on the radio with Tucker trying to call for the pushes here. Inside groove is a rolling here. And right now, that certified harpoon paint. Again, one of the drivers with Greg Biffle numbers. Again, thoughts are with the Biffle family after the incident that happened in December. Multiple drivers have paid tribute to Greg Biffle here for the start of the season, including voicing David Wood here tonight. But Tucker also taking initiative to go with the Greg Biffle numbers for this season. All that's with the outside building something together here. It's worth noting, some drivers trying to force it through. Conklin said, if you're going to leave that middle open, I'm going to just drive on through. Do the strategy we see from Eberhard.
Oh, one of Casey Graves just fell a lot, just way back out in the pack. See if he gets a helping hand. I don't think so. Graves has already dropped just outside the top 25 here. And so let's see what Lucas Hoytsma does now. He leads the top. Hutchinson trying to push. Hoytsma can be good in any lane, whether he's being patient or being aggressive. I bet you he wants to go for that race lead to get as much points as he can in this stage.
Do you blame him, the defending champion?
Oh, look at this, though, the 58. Further back, thread the needle there in the 65 of O'Brien. And I'm sure that O'Brien's not going to be too happy. There was a little door kiss to the inside of that 58. He stayed 3 wide. That could have been disaster waiting to happen. But now, third group being created. O'Brien fading back, and the 95 of Roman, who got the lucky dog last lap, forced to lift there because how much momentum the 65 lost. Now can they gain it off of turn 2?
Don't know if they have the numbers here or the track position. Seen a few people dodge. Hunter got off the gas also. Up through 3. Right. Look who's taking over the top spot for the outside group. Taylor elected to move up. Said, you know what? I'm going to try something here. Work with my teammate to get myself to the point. A driver with 1 win in the full lineage of the FLCC in 5 years.
Yeah, Taylor, I've been watching him these last couple of green flag laps. This is a guy that wants to get out to the race lead. He's got the momentum and nearly got sideways there in turn 1. Let's see if Hoytsma can get the bump draft to work perfectly in the corners. So far, so good. How's it lined up down the super stretch? This top side is lined up perfectly. Taylor out side by side.
Can he get himself clear ahead of Tucker to try and take control back here? Coming up to 15 to go in the stage. For those tuning into Maconi Entertainment, you're watching the Full Length Cup Challenge. It's been a wild one so far from Daytona. Couple caution flags here in stage 1. As it's Taylor for the first time tonight, leading some laps and moving on down to allow Hoytsma to control the top. A couple drivers are in the back and in the third line working, though. Roman has found an old friend. Basin here we got turned, though.
Yeah, such a close call mid-pack. They're going for the trying to get the stage points further back. Meanwhile, a little bit of jockeying. That 54 car, check that 84, no, 54 Coffee. Lost so much momentum on the bottom. Wasn't lined up with the draft of DeCiani in the 4. And it just accordioned that mid-pack. Can they get back into the speed, into the groove? We nearly had 2 packs broken up. But it's Hoytsma to the lead with Hutchison and Taylor on the podium.
And a lot of squabbling still. Tucker does not want to give this up here with a chance to win the first stage of the season. New friend for Basin after the pushes didn't work initially, by the way. Sean Anderson, the alternate for this one, is on the bumper of that 84 on the top, but they aren't getting too much going yet. It's going to be interesting to talk about a lot of these team dynamics over the course of the season. One of the bigger groupings here we haven't seen too much of yet is going to be the EPI camp. We've already talked about Van Henschel has already proven himself. Cody Johnson's with that camp. Anderson's with that camp. We've also seen Wesley Napier work on the spotter stand. Many of those drivers I just listed are up on that top groove. That just helped Tucker get ahead. And the EPI cars are next in the shuffle if they can get Conklin to move down.
But then Tucker cut down, and Conklin said, nope, we're staying up top. We're working together. Cody Johnson behind. Look at this. Pace laps has speeds of 195 miles an hour down the super stretch.
Yeah, these cars designed to only peak out at maybe 198. If you're at the 200s, you're getting a massive amount of pull. And right now, they're hitting right at the very edge of where these speeds are expected to go in this pack. Right now, Conklin trying to pull them back. That side draft effect can be pretty significant if you do it right. It's not working, though. That inside just is able to break it. Owen Johnson starting to overheat.
Yeah, not too good there, one bit. Too much on that rear bumper, cooking that oil temperature. As little as 5 laps, when you do too much bump drafting like that, your engine can easily expire and your race can be done in a boom.
Think over the course of these pushes here, too. Do you happen to play the console game here, Marty, at all, and notice in the super speedways how much those corner of the bumpers crinkle? Guess what? Happened here tonight. Conklin's left rear just got crushed in by Johnson's pushes.
Yeah, that's just too much of it. Could be an affection of arrow here. We'll just have to see if Conklin loses speed, but Johnson continued to push. It's still risky, though, with considering what Johnson said that he was overheating. Meanwhile, challenge for the lead, and no one wants to go with Tucker here, Justin. Oh boy, he's going to plummet out of the top 5 in seconds.
That's an entire team saying, sorry, we don't like you too much right now. We're going to go. And speaking of the team dynamics, Roman is trying to find any way to get anybody he is comfortable with up to the point here. That outside group for the 21. Currently maxing out on speed, though. Isn't get the side drop down, and here comes Conklin again to the middle.
Yeah, give credit to Roman here in this one, too, Justin. This was a guy that had the penalty from last week. He had to serve a drive-through at the completion of lap number 1. Got a free pass. Now just about the highest spot he's been in this race in 14th.
Great rebound over the course of not even 65 laps. We are at less than 10 to go in the stage here. Less than 10 laps to work with. Almost wondering if Johnson needs to figure out a way, change his push strategy, because the outside's not working, the middle line should say. And now he's got Tucker, who's moved up. A lot of people just lifted off the gas hard, though, on the EPI line.
Yeah, look at all of this. Razzle-dazzle here through turns number 1 and 2. 21 car of Gitter fading back a lot, and now Tucker regathering. A little help from Sean Conklin trying to get back up to the lead. Now does the 97 throw the block? Oh, keep it. The high side's got the run here, Justin, into 3.
Tucker trying to say, I've got a good car. Trust me, I can drive it. And he's able to get back to the point yet again. Now, the big question, what will Conklin do? Will he stay up top, or will he follow Tucker if he moves down? He'll stay up top and immediately try and take the lead instead. You know who cycled up to the front here? On top of Johnson's plus 28, we have Paul Gallimore that cycled up through the order too as Conklin slams the door in the bottom.
Yeah, been talked a lot about that 11 car, yet it's been very quiet. Highest he's been in this race in the top 5, and he's in the proper line, trying to give Conklin the race lead back. The intensity is up to the max here as drivers are going for stage points here. We're coming to 7 laps to go in stage 1.
3 wide starting to continue to swarm up, by the way. Who haven't we talked about? Oh no! 4 wide! EPI car, Von Henschel goes and squeezes, has Hunter to his inside. They all keep it alive.
Wow.
But Paul Hill tried to get going and took some scrapes.
And this is going to split the pack up into 2 here. And this could be maybe our top 10 at the end of stage number 1. We'll just have to see. Here's the look. Very too close for comfort. I don't know how they saved that. Meanwhile, this pack is formed back into one, with DeCiani able to get the draft off of the 84 of Dylan Basin. But I think everyone learned their lesson. Let's play it safe. Don't get too risky.
That's going to force the entire pack to reset with 6 laps to work with. Johnson now leads a line, and he's got some help from the BMP entries. We haven't talked about Beast Mode Performance here tonight. They have 2 drivers in the FLCC 500, Paul Gallimore, Thomas Komacheski. And Gallimore, he was very solid in a part-time schedule last season. Expect him to make a splash this season. He's got a good angle to the outside group, playing lanes again. Conklin blocks off the black flag cars.
Now the third line being created once again. It's by a Ryko car. I believe that's the 12 of Nolan Hodgson, who we've yet to talk about. He's got a big burst of speed through 3 and 4 from Hill in that 26.
That was one of the cars that was destroyed in the first caution of the day. He's fixed up the car, and now he's found the help he's been looking for. Remember last year, they were teammates, in fact, for 2025. And the friends are coming where they're being found, coming to less than 5 to go, coming to 4 to go. This time through in the stage.
Risky bump draft by Gallimore to Johnson, going through 1 and 2. And now Gallimore cuts off the top of Hodgson. He wants the race lead, possibly going at it with a 58 from P3 into 3.
Gallimore now works his health on the nose of the 12. Here comes Tucker, just got blocked off by Conklin. Now it's 2 by 2. And block off now for Hoytsma. Here they go down the front straightaway. Few laps to go on the stage as they try and play defense.
Risky cut down by Hoytsma because it leads to Conklin with the slingshot. Gets the side draft from the 36. A new leader through 1 and 2. How about this, Justin? 33 drivers all under a blanket. And this is just for a stage 1 win. Jason Taylor doesn't like what he sees. He backs out of it. He won't get any stage points.
And he's well off. He went straight left, pulling up the ejector cord. He'll be out of the pack here.
He wants
3 wide, multiple rows deep.
Yeah, Taylor wants to make sure he has this car for when he needs it most. Late in stage number 3. This is getting intense. 3 laps to go in stage 1.
Most intense racing of the day. Hoytsma trying to go up top to bottom. Tucker just got ditched. Here comes Johnson, one of the SOM favorites. He'll look his way to the point with the help of Hodgson. Doesn't get the help. Now he gets squirrely.
That was a risky bump draft into turn 2 by Nolan Hodgson. Now the middle groove has the momentum. Look at Michael Tucker down the super stretch looking for the race lead. He's got it, but he can't clear the 97.
Tucker gets some help again from Conklin, building respect with the 58. 2 to go in the stage coming through. Komacheski losing a lot of ground with the side draft. The middle is dying off. Gallimore fills the hole. And somebody has to figure out the way to be able to hold on for 1. But 2, limit mistakes. Tucker likes to lead the bottom. Conklin likes to lead the middle. Conklin to the point yet again. Lap and a half to go in stage 1.
Like drivers are fighting for playoff points, but keep in mind, no playoff points anymore with the chase. It's just for stage points up for grabs. There's the cut down from Gallimore downstairs for the lead. The final driver in a stage point position would be Tyler Hunter in the 48. First one out, it's Anderson and Harper.
1 to go. 1 to go in stage 1. Pit road already closed last time by. Gallimore, who hasn't been up in the front for most of the stage, has Komacheski to work with. But keep an eye on the moves. Here comes the outside. Pull coming along from Tucker. Got Hoytsma, Hutchinson, and company to help. Now the Ryko cars join him on the outside.
Big
trouble!
No! There goes the 36! No caution!
Try to save it. Field is good. Field is not good. Caution is out. Paul Gallimore wins stage 1.
Yeah, he had Corey Moore up in the wall. And he had Ralph Hutchison also around in turn 4. That's why the yellow flew to end it.
We did say they had to be on the racing surface, and well, they were at the end. Here's a look at the Stage 1 results. Gallimore, Komacheski, Tucker, Hoytsma, Hutchinson, Conklin, Basin, Delaney. Tanner Marty snuck in there with Tower Hunter in the top 10. Again, that's at the end of the stage. Let's get the chance here in the next moment to see what happened here, as I'm surprised that wasn't even bigger there with the slide. They were well down the bottom and about to come up into traffic.
This was basically here a combination of a risky bump draft that, like you mentioned, Justin, earlier, just wasn't lined up, combined with a bad block, too, by Gallimore. I don't know how Michael was able to save it in the 36, but Hutchinson coming up the hill right in front of traffic. I think that's why race control threw the caution flag.
It's a dangerous situation. But these are types of moves we might see later on for the win. Tucker tried to get the bottom, got blocked. But the problem is the hole was already up top. This is where Moore took contact, actually. Couple cars did. Moore is meatballed from that. Let's take a look at what happened at 42. This is heavy, heavy contact here. Plenty in the mid to backpack. That was actually a little bit of assistance. Watch the 22, his team boss.
Oh. Yeah, that likely damage toe link combined with probably right front suspension. Everybody coming down pit road.
Oh, and someone just got turned. Tyler Hunter, hard of the wall. Hodson got into the 48, and Tyler Hunter is destroyed on the front nose, just about.
That is one of the worst pit accidents possibly you could have. As Hunter was coming down, Hodgson hooked him, and a hard front end shot into the pit box of the 48.
Not as bad as I think it was in the first reaction to get pulled back in terms of reaction, but I will say this. You gotta be able to time up the spot for your box.
But this, meanwhile, in the race off pit road, I know we're watching Hunter here. Race off pit road, Matt DeCiani taking the win, gets his first lap sled of the day, followed by Vroman, Delaney, Gitter, and Hoytsma.
Shorter pit stops for DeCiani and Vroman, so those drivers ended up taking 2 tires, I believe, to be able to get themselves to the edge and take the full tank here. Now, one of the drivers we're looking to talk with here, how about your stage winner? Paul Gallimore gets himself at the very edge, joins the broadcast booth. Paul, how do you feel winning stage 1 of the season?
That was wild, man. That was fun. Yeah, I didn't expect that. I just thought we'd get up there and race a little bit, and somehow we were able to keep it out front at the end of that thing.
Yeah, when it comes to a race like this, what was the approach coming in? Because we barely even seen the BMB cars until those final 10 laps.
The approach was just kind of chill and let it kind of play itself out. And then after that one, we had a big wreck, I guess, there, and I kind of found myself up towards the front a little bit. And then once we realized we were clear of gas, it was like, oh, let's go ahead and, we were going to turn into, at least the first stage was going to be a fuel thing. I figured, let's go ahead and see if we can get a little racy and just keep it clean and not get involved in anything. And like I said, somehow this old Bumblebee found her way to the front there. So hopefully we can do it again.
So, are you going to let the race come to you in stage 2, or are you going to be more aggressive here, try and lead some laps now they got track position?
It's too early to really be too aggressive, period, in my opinion. These guys may like to be aggressive, but I mean, heck, you got to get past the second stage before you really start considering the aggression, in my mind. But we'll see how it plays out here. We got some really good cars around us here, and a lot of good guys up here we can trust. So if we can mix it up a little bit with guys we know that are stable, and yeah, we'll just keep it up here. But otherwise, if not, if we see some danger, we're not going to get in the mix of that. Try to anyway.
Good luck the rest of the way here, Paul.
Thank you, sir.
Paul Gallimore gets set to go here inside the top 10 for the restart. So DeCiani, Vroman, Gitter, Delaney, Hoytsma. Martin's your top 5. Gallimore, Coffey, Komacheski, Zosiak, Anderson are in your top 10. Marty, your thoughts after stage 1?
Wild stage 1 to say the least. Hopefully this stage maybe cools down a little bit, but give credit to the way the drivers have raced. Still very clean. You know, we've got 35 drivers on the lead lap here at the moment. One driver on pit road from that yellow, Corey Moore, and Cody Johnson, I believe, out of the race, along with Johnny Avila and Devin Medeiros.
So the list of cars, pretty small to start. Of note, only Hall, that lap down, as you said, remember, started from pit road. All it takes is one caution without anyone else losing the lead lap. And we might see that one have a chance. He was willing to push some drivers at the end of stage 1. But stage 2 sees DeCiani on the top. He's going to have some help this time from the Fortis cam. It's Gitter, the winner from last year, who is going to help him. The outside gets the jump as to be expected. We're backing away. And there goes the top 2. There they go to the bottom. And these 2 should stay in sync. DeCiani was fairly consistent last season. Gitter started strong. Thought he was going to win more races in the early going. Picked up a lot of wins in the late going during the postseason.
Yeah, Gitter here, right place, right time, running in the second spot, pushing DeCiani. Now Roman with the slingshot, looking to go from being a lap down to taking the race lead.
Here he goes. Vroom vroom. Says, hello. It's back to the point for the Conti car. So the 95 takes the race lead. The help of Paul Gallimore. Gomacheski stays on behind, and oh my, the 11 nearly followed the 95 in a tight hole. Here comes Gallimore instead to the front.
That got risky there. Gallimore, the stage 1 winner, to clear Roman, but now he's got a little bit of help. Gomacheski, the highest spot he's been in this race, and the same for Bobby Anderson in the 5. Good cut down by both the 11 and the 88, leaving the 5 out to drive with some clean air. Our third line. Starting to see get formed up here once again with Conklin, Heitman, and I believe that's Hunter in the 48 too. It is.
Yeah, the guy owner trying to get something working there with Hunter. Now it's Conklin. Gets the fastest speed out of anybody and entering turn 1. A move to assist from Hodgson to join the line as that middle groove gets sucker punched back. Big side draft again. You just do not want to run the middle when that outside is rolling.
Oh, look at this. Behind them, nearly a bad block, though, from Anderson. Affects the 12 of Hodgson. He'll remember that. And a big push by the 84 mid-pack and basin. I was going to mention this, though, Justin. How about, though, the 58 at Conklin going for the lead? Here's a look at this. Just about a bad block by Bobby. This nearly became disastrous. Right there.
Yeah, that is something interesting to say at the very least in the early going in the stage. By the way, Conklin did drive up to the front and brought his buddies in the 76 and the 48. So the inside line solidified. It stays 2 by 2 for the most part outside of a couple 3 wide. Conklin, last night's SOF winner on iRacing and Race Spot, is up at the point. And Conklin knows how to win the big races here, Marty. He's won races in ERA competition before for about $4,000. To say the very least, he knows how to drive, and there's a reason his team owner likes him.
There's a reason as well. He's got over a 9,400 I rating on iRacing. He's just such a gifted driver no matter what track it is. And I want to give credit to the top 3. You don't see 3 drivers on an outside make a lot of moves like that off and up towards the top of the leaderboard. That was just some dang good drafting. If they're up there near the end, these may be the 3 drivers to watch out for. Wow, 3 wide, mid-pack in the top 5. Able to get a small breakaway here from DeCiani and Patrick Gitter.
A small one, but not a panic yet. It's worth noting Dustin Hall might have a concern here. Once those loose in the pack at the back of the group, needs to keep up with the leaders to help out his chances. By the way, every other car is in this grouping, layered by about 2 seconds amongst each other in the early going here. Now, as the drivers battle it out here, one of the major things to think about when it comes to this season is not just the championships with King of the Super Speedway, but this is a series that's known for its theming for races, Marty. And for this season, there are a lot of themed paint scheme races. There are 7 different races that are expected to have special paint schemes. That includes Throwback Week, that's in March this year at Darlington. Then you have the World 600 with the special paint schemes for Memorial Day. Yeah, bands and music back at Nashville. Hold on a second, drivers are smashing the guitars.
Yeah, that is someone trying to crash the party at least, and some notes played bad. That's Von Henshaw in the 34. Stopped in turn 1. I saw Kleiman get a piece of this too. 4th caution out here tonight at Daytona.
Just when you think it's going to start calming down for a second, you have a wild 36 car try and move to the bottom. He makes contact with the 34, Von Henschel.
This all
Von
starts,
Henschel says, no, not clear, says the EPI car.
Yeah, watch the 36 here. Once again, just tried to cut down and couldn't get there, or he was not clear, basically.
That's going to be interesting to look at here again for race control. I mean, you understand the thought. It says, there's the hole. Nope.
Just cut off, wrong place, wrong time. Yes. That would be something where you needed a real life spotter instead of your iRacing spotter, no matter if you use the game or a third party app.
Tucker is one of those who is not using a spotter, human spotter. He is using the in-sim spotter. There is a long list of spotters, actually, that are working with teams here tonight. Jonathan Delaney has Logan Sheets. Paul Gallimore has Shane Davis. Then you have Claude, who's working with a Canadian Travis. He's working with Ralph Hutchison with Brandon Pierce. Madero's was with Jared Grodzicki for the work. You have Zendel Collins with Alex Murray. Paul Hill has Joseph Galata, who didn't race tonight, with him having the duels the way they went. Tyler Dalton's on Van Henschel's box. Corey Moore for the crash did have Johnny Shade, who's good on the super speedways. Hunter has 2 spotters in his other account in Wesley Napier. Coffee had Blaine Wilson to work with here tonight. Brandon Hastings had Peter Ruzick to work with, while Jeremy Brown has Jarrett Wishon for this evening. Wide range of spotters as, again, we were under caution and see some variation on strategy. Heitman taking the chance to top off. Delaney, Hoytsma, Anderson, and a couple others electing to go to the back and reset. Now, touching upon the storylines we were touching upon for the paint scheme side. On top of those 3 mentioned before the incident, the beer and drink themed nights are at Sonoma this season. That will be in June. There's sports teams that was Dover previously. This year, it's going to be at Iowa for the Infield Dreams 250 and the Sports 350. Soda Wars returns at Daytona. And then Neon Night will be back for a second consecutive year in September. And what I was trying to get at before things boiled over for the crash, Marty, is this is a series that likes to bring some creativity for its painters. And we've had some of the painters actually race in this series. People want to stay creative and be able to look fresh on the track.
Well, you know, I think the one I'm looking forward to the most is the drinking night out at Sonoma with the beers and any of the alcoholic beverages that can be shown on paints on the FLCC. It's pretty interesting. I hope to see a lot of, you know, not just, you know, the Miller Lite schemes or the Budweiser schemes, or maybe some other schemes going back to, like, you know, I don't know if like IndyCar had any other pretty cool alcoholic beverages or something else like that.
I mean, it wasn't as simple as the generics in terms of the popular brands. There was a lot of paint schemes of very niche drinks last year, if memory serves correctly. I'm just not the drinking type to know the exact drinks off the top of my head. But I will say this. Many of the drivers trying to stay hydrated here with the caution flags, just like Colic Racing does, as we get ready for the restart to start lap 79. They double up here with Conklin and Hunter on the front row. Also going to be up here, Gallimore, Komachevsky, Gitter. Also joined on with DeCiani, a part of the top 6. Coffey, Zodiac from the crash earlier is now back in the top 10 again. Then Hodgson and Marty. So some surprising drivers making their way up to the front with the rotation with the incidents. And now we'll see how the dancing partners work out here.
Yeah, we'll just have to see. I'm looking forward to seeing how Zodiac's car can run up near the front, and then if he's able to get the lead, how will his car do in the clean air? Is it going to work, or is it going to slow down this pack where, you know, a lot of drivers are risking a pass?
Yeah, that's going to be the interesting part. They just gave a penalty to Von Henschel, just exited too many stalls. Went through too many stalls, exited, should say. 34. We'll have to start at the tail while catching the field. A couple of these drivers are going to have to figure something out because there's a few at the back yet to catch the pack. Things going to have to get sorted pretty quickly here, Marty. Obviously, you don't want to be one of those drivers who did not get a chance to stay tucked up. The lucky dog this caution previously, by the way, was Dustin Hall. He is back in the lead lap, so everybody should be on the lead lap now in this race.
Yeah, I think we'll be good here now for this restart. And I don't think anyone should be getting any black flags for not being properly behind or being in front of a car they shouldn't be.
Might be one for Rohanschel because Anderson didn't catch the pack. We're backing away. Keep an eye on if there is a penalty pop up or not for the 34. The answer is, looks like he got the exemption. Look how far back he was. The inside groove getting the better start here, but that outside's actually keeping up pretty well here with Hunter.
Yeah, give him credit. Let's see what Hunter can do here. This time he doesn't really have Heitman, who's trying to make the third groove work this time. Doesn't have Heitman. Doesn't have Heitzma either on the bottom. Working very well together throughout this one. Or the 48 as well of Hunter. Trying to see where he is on the track. Oh, sorry. We're looking at Hunter right now. I wasn't Heitman and 97. Also, Sean Conklin, too, leading, too.
Still holding on to lead laps. He's 11 of them so far tonight. Heitman right off the top off. Immediately says, let's go to the front. I have friends, and that helps, especially here. The 76, the 95, and the 6 all hook up. And Delaney is one of the drivers you want in your corner when it comes to this series, Marty. After all, he was the top driver on super speedways last season for King of the Super Speedway.
Yeah, Delaney's not been too bad with it. Now can he give Heitman a push for the race lead? Stacked up the top. Middle line will have the slight advantage for now. All the bottom here with Conklin, Gallimore, and DeCiani. That's 3 abreast further back.
Still 3 wide. They're driving like his last lap again all of a sudden. Gallimore looks like he's not letting the race come to him as much as he's now trying to grab the race by the horns. Gallimore takes the lead. And again, he wants to maintain the track position. Already got the stage win. Why not try and hold on to see if he can get another one?
Elmore's been very aggressive since late in the stage when he made his way up to the top 5. He wants to be staying up near the front, but nice cut down from Vroom. Vroom, out to the point.
And remember, he's going to be one of the couple who are on a better fuel stint compared to everybody else. 10-lap difference in the fuel tank. Gives him a little bit more flexibility depending on when the stops come down and in. As some of the drivers reporting technical issues in the heart of the pack can't confirm. We do have a driver that has had a technical issue. Trying to make sure the number of that is Stephen Williams, who is now losing connection to the server. That might be an issue for the 98 machine coming up.
Being out in the back for right now, but just in a single file line, so shouldn't be too much of an issue as he's not in the pack. So yeah, Williams is not even there one bit.
Connection flag. Stephen Williams, he has been sent to pit road. They didn't even give him a full lap. So Williams, who is losing connection anyway, is now in pit road either way.
Yeah, rough break for the 98, one bet. That will end his chances of winning the FLCC 500. Big cut upstairs for the 95 of Roman. Can he get some help from Conklin is the question, but loses a spot to DeCiani just so he can try and get this set up. He's got a half a car length between him and the 58. Gonna be tough to really get some momentum, but now he's got Conklin lined up with. That will be a big run. Next thing too, Justin.
Holden trying to get some help. The Conti cars outside of Vroom have been relatively quiet tonight. Right now the 95 trying to keep things loud as he gets blocked off by the EPI car of Hunter. Hunter trying to be the Pied Piper, but can't stay up there with the aggression. There goes Roman. And there goes Roman.
That was some smart blocking by Hunter there at the time, just throwing that late down the super stretch, not doing it early where he could have been forced out in a sucker hole 3 wide, but now Roman out front, but Conklin got Komaszewski once again. Back out to the front, and now Conklin and Hunter, they're divided for right now. One up top, one on the bottom. They've been working pretty well together throughout this race.
Yeah, Conklin's made a fair amount of friends here over the course of this race, to say the least. There is good news if you're Stephen Williams. As you can see, he is back. Don't think he actually left the session, but he did just leave pit road after being parked for 40 seconds by the sim.
We have had a restart of his... We've had a restart of his computer, though, but look at this. Third groove once again. No surprise. Heitman in that 76, this time with Hill and Tucker, who's still trying to recover after that last caution when he threw that, when he wasn't clear and that yellow flag flew.
Cut outside for the 48. Hunter jumps up. There goes the punch through. There goes the push. So this is a conveyor belt now at this point here when it comes to this, Marty. How do you try and get yourself in a situation to be in control of the conveyor belt, to pull the levers for it, compared to just being on the wheel of, here comes another car to take the lead. Okay, that same car is going to be in the lead again in 10 laps with the cycle, and so forth.
It's really tough. You know, I see a lot of drivers do this in like the public eye races, not really the top split at times. I see a lot of drivers, they hug the white line, and then when there's a gap on the outside, they'll take it immediately and just try and shove the driver to the point so they can get themselves out to the front. Like that's what Gallimore is doing right there. DeCiani doing the same thing. Same with Gitter. Trying to get the run here. Take about half the lap to develop, and now you see the 58 do the same thing too. And this is basically, Justin, I think this is the answer to my question, basically. Take the high side and try and get that lead as quick as you can.
Yep, indeed. That outside once again sees the conveyor belt change hands. One of the drivers making moves on the bottom side, by the way. I was about to mention the quietness of the Conti cars tonight. One of them is Brandon Hastings. That 81 machine should be an interesting one to watch for because, first of all, it's had technical issues. Mentions because of the service provider potentially. That's not going to change, unfortunately. He said he can't just move houses. But second and more importantly, he is a mechanic for the Truck Series team, Tricon Garage, that won the championship last season, Marty. So he's one of the drivers who just came off the plane from Daytona in the past day.
Yeah, obviously coming off a big title with Corey Heim. Caden Honeycutt coming oh so close to that win. That was actually my pick to win out of this past weekend. We'll see if some of that experience works. And a risky block there, meanwhile, up near the front by Conklin. Kind of accordion the high side a little bit. Look at all the gaps being seen. Up on top, advantage of the bottom for right now. And I don't know, this could be, I was going to say Verona choo-choo train, but Vroman trying to make the slingshot here on Conklin for the lead.
Getting really on that quarter panel there, starting to sword fight almost. Your contact a couple times over here. Right now, side draft this time being extremely effective with how aggressive they're being. You know, one of the people we should mention that isn't here tonight, Kirk Mills, is at Daytona for this week, the normal color commentator for the 2026 season here, Marty. You're in this villain spot for tonight. You have to wonder what he is, how he is doing in Daytona. He's there for the 500 for reference to enjoy the fun, of course, which Kirk was in the booth with us this weekend. But of course, I know he's having fun in Florida.
I'll tell you this, he did a good job with his boogity start call. But I think you got to have fun. You got to take a break from time to time, enjoy yourself. Has he ever been to the Daytona 500 before, if you recall, or no?
I actually didn't get the chance to ask, as that was near contact.
Nearly a bad block there, to say the least. But Conklin takes advantage, and there he is, Hunter behind to take the lead. But hey, if you get a chance to go to the Daytona 500, I've yet to, because my work schedule, I've always wanted to go to Florida during that week, whether it be the 500 or Dirt Car Nationals or World Series of Racing. That's it's on the bucket list. It's on everyone's bucket list if you're a race fan. There goes Hunter, now out to the race lead.
Oh, look at this. DeCiani. He's got some help. It's the Fortis Brigade. Simone knows over the radio as Conklin gets shuffled. Keep in mind, we are still about 15 laps away from stops, and we're coming up to lap traffic in Anderson and Von Henschel. So they better sort this out pretty quickly for 1, 2, be able to start thinking about that stop as we are zooming through the stage.
Yeah, Conklin got caught up in the sucker hole, and now he's got behind him a driver he knows pretty well from near the front earlier in this race, that being Wood in the 16, and behind him the 37 is Oziak. Both drivers who were caught up in wrecks earlier on. Let's see if they can push that Conklin ride out near the front, but here we go, lap traffic. Hunter's going to get a slight advantage possibly. They'll both move up top.
Forced up to the middle and top respectively. See if the pack swallows them with the 3 wide or if that causes issues. Anderson, no issues. Von Henschel, no issues. EPI cars stay in sync, and they will swallow them 3 wide, not 2. They stay 3.
Yeah, Coffee and Base in the first 2 on the bottom, and 34 Von Henschel. That's some good sportsmanship there. Let the field go by, race amongst themselves, but Sean Anderson just got a gift basically if they wreck right here, right now, and he avoids it.
You know the problem with letting them all go, though? That just cost Von Henschel the draft. 34 has stayed on the apron. Something going on with the 34 to stay down there. But DeCiani with that is up in front. And now Fortis controls the middle and the bottom lines. Looks like the 4 will now let the 76 have a chance to lead. Paul Hill, the one on the bumper. That was a bit offset.
That was a slam draft there I mentioned earlier, Justin. And the 13 of Anderson saw that, doesn't want to risk that. He'll drop out of the draft and let the leaders race this amongst themselves.
Race control says we're good. Everyone steadies out there. A few of the drivers were nervous about that situation on the radio. Thomas Goloszewski now up to the point, though. 88 was one of the drivers that competed fairly well last season. One of the drivers battling on the bubble, in fact, when it came to making the postseason. Last year, didn't get any wins a part of his 30 starts with only one DNF, but he did get a couple top 5s and a lot of top 10s. Now, as he laps Hall, who's been dealing with damage here over the course of this run, the 88 gets to flex those muscles. The Watson racing machines have looked pretty solid in officials this week.
Tucker on the outside. A push from, we haven't talked about this guy yet tonight, Nicholas Isaacs. Car number 2, and look who's behind him. This is no surprise. Conklin's found his way back inside the top 5 after getting caught up in the sucker hole.
Oh, Nicholas Isaacs!
58
goes around.
23. Big wrecking one.
Chaos in turn 1, slam into the front nose from Hutchinson on the 2. And we have cars everywhere. And Conklin, one of your contenders that looked strong all night, mandatory damage. He joins the drivers that now have picked up a ton of damage tonight.
That may be perhaps the dominant car of the FLCC 500 so far, Justin. And he may be toast. This can sometimes be the effect you have when you're not in the front off. You just find that hole, but was just hooked up there with the 58 at the same time. I don't think it had anything to do with that cut down. I think it just had to do with, just some slight contact, racing for the same piece of real estate. Here's another look from our drone.
Got a feeling anything would start bubbling over here. We're not at the halfway point of the race, but we are in the window for the stage.
Oh, no,
right there.
I think there may have been a bump as well at the same time.